acquisition, activation, retention, referral, revenue. Kyle here. We are talking marketing framework. Now, this framework was coined by Dave McClure of 500 Startups, famous entrepreneur, brilliant marketer, founder, has grown thousands of businesses over his tenure. So thanks to him for this framework. Now, this is one that we use internally probably every day as we approach different campaigns, new clients, campaign ideas, or even, hey, we haven't examined the retention block in a while. Let's look at that. So what do we mean? When we talk marketing framework, again, we're talking acquisition, activation, retention, referral, revenue. Here's a quick look at the framework itself. Now, when we think about this under the umbrella, what we look at first, if we're onboarding a new client, or if maybe a client's revenue or conversions has plateaued. So maybe they're looking for online form completions. Let's use that one. Let's actually use like a credit union as an example. They want people to not necessarily sign up for the bank, but they just want them to enroll and sign up for a meeting, and they specifically want to target people new to the area, so people moving into the area. Now, when we think about that, we might look and open up the Google Analytics. We might open up email open rates if they have an email campaign running. And we might also look at direct mail response rates. So we'll look at all of these things. We'll do a quick audit, and we'll see where are the red arrows. So if we look at the marketing framework, perhaps the credit union does a phenomenal job of getting users to the site, qualified website visitors that have raised their hand, searched Google for banks near me or credit unions, or what's the difference between a bank and a credit union, and land on your site. Congratulations. Now, this is where a lot of folks will sort of clap their hands and say, our job is done. Let's go to happy hour. Congratulations. Good job. Shame. Don't do that. The thing you want to focus on is once you get those website visitors to your site, how do they complete that action that you're trying to get them to take? And in this case, it's a form completion. It's booking a meeting with somebody to sit across the table, because when you're a credit union, that's a lot of the value that you promised. This is the spot where a lot of people, maybe there's a red arrow. Get qualified site traffic. Site traffic doesn't take the action that you're looking for. Moving down the funnel here, we're looking at then retention. So congratulations, you've met with the member. The meeting went really well. They opened an account with you. They, holy cow, they're looking to now buy their first home, and all things are good. Well, perhaps that's the case, but what we often see is maybe not in banking as much, but a customer shows up, they have a great first meeting, and then now all of a sudden you give them the robot and they start talking to the automation, and it's a disconnected experience because you've promised them a personal touch, but they immediately, after that first meeting, they're getting thrown into this like email automation that sounds very robotic. And so they leave, and so they choose somebody else. That's a case of celebrating kind of the win. Hey, we closed this many accounts this month, but then not paying attention to what happens after. So from a marketing standpoint, there's a lot you can do in those follow-ups. Referral, of course, this is pointing directly to your evangelists, so your most happy members. How do you get them to scream your praise on top of a mountain? And there's ways to do that. So let's take a quick look. Acquisition, this is where we look at things like SEO, paid search, paid social. How do you drive traffic to your site? Maybe it's posting online every day, and is that working? We like to say at Pintler Group that we don't celebrate impressions. However, in the acquisition stage, sometimes it's about brand awareness. It's about informing people of what your credit union does or what your brand is all about, what you stand for, why you're different, what separates you from the other 20 competitors in town, and how do you get them to lean in, take that first step. So sometimes we do celebrate impressions because at this stage you're targeting locally, you're targeting people who maybe have never been to your site, never heard of you. So to think that you're going to get them to click on an ad, fill out a form, sign up for an account, close on a house the next day is unrealistic. So our goals in those first acquisition stages, are to get qualified new website visitors to your site. Next, we're looking at activation. So activation is where they're on your site. How do you get them to complete the action that you're looking for them to take? In this case, we're talking about form completions. Do a quick audit of your forms. Are there fields that you don't need? Things like second address. What percentage of your form completions actually include a second address? And maybe it's 10%. Great. Maybe don't make that field required if that's the case, or if someone has to push a space bar in order to complete the form. A good way to do this is to have do some role play, like bring some people in. Hey, you're going to be new to town. You're going to be a new parent. You're going to be searching for a car loan. Go. Make sure it's people that have never been on your site before, and stand over their shoulders and see how they interact with your site. If they fumble around, don't do the, well, it's right there. The button is right in the bottom right, because clearly they couldn't find it. So from a user experience standpoint or user interface, these are things that you can solve pretty easily, and you don't need a 5,000 person focus group. There's also tools like Hotjar. I think you can use tools like Crazy Egg to do heat mapping, and we've used those tools to help identify through a large number of visitors where are the cold areas of the page that nobody's really finding, and where the red hot, here's where people are clicking. Retention. What happens after they take the action you're looking for? Do they get a follow-up? So someone fills out a form, we see it all the time. Who responds to that form completion? I thought it was Ted. I don't know, Sarah, is that your job to reply to that? Make sure you have those systems dialed. You can also automate some of this depending on what your value proposition is. If you're saying, you'll never get an automated email from us, then don't do that. But if you're a credit union, there are ways to quickly get somebody to submit their information and then see, hey, are you a good fit for our business? Are you going to be a good fit for our credit union? If you live in New Mexico and our credit union is in Maine, maybe that's a red flag, and we want to just send a quick email to say, hey, just so you know, our members are primarily in Maine, or maybe you're open nationally, who knows. So retention is a big piece. That's, again, the follow-up. That's making sure that your customers are staying happy, and that could be an entire separate video. Referral. This is a huge one. So how do you get the people that are really happy with the experience that they had? That you've probably heard it, you've probably talked to them, and if you haven't, talk to your customers. But talk to your customers and figure out, how do we really help your business take off with that loan, or describe what that $5,000 car loan at a tough time in your life meant to you, and maybe you're going to get some responses that you can say, would you mind if we just put that on our website, and do you mind if we use that in a video? And these are some really great ways that you can get your existing customers to help refer more customers. And then they start right back up at that acquisition, activation, retention, referral. And then revenue or members or whatever that last box you want to use. If you're a college, it might be enrolled students. If you're a t-shirt company, it might be e-commerce sales. So that's a really quick look at our marketing framework. Again, we can use this for any business, any vertical. Today we used credit union. Tomorrow we can use the University of Florida. So each one, a quick audit followed by where are the red arrows, what pieces of the funnel can we approach first. We don't like to just kind of throw a blanket over everything and say, first is billboards, then we do the paid social, then we start with Facebook ads. It's unique to every single client, regardless of vertical. So it might be a credit union that we look at retention, and it might be a credit union that, boy, they really have a dialed website, but they need new visitors. And that's where we'll start. So hope you liked it, and we'll talk to you again soon.